Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim Nakrin, joined by attorney Jamara Shipp. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So we always appreciate you coming in and sharing your expertise and analysis. The first thing I want to ask you about today are these new developments surrounding the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center, what protesters are calling Top City. So you see in this brand new video captured by our Atlanta News First crews just this morning, some activists have actually been spotted locking themselves to construction equipment. This is in Midtown Atlanta this morning, and it happened at the Brassfield and Gorey work site near 12th Street Northeast and Juniper Street Northeast. This construction site reportedly managed by the lead contractor for the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. Again, protesters call it Cop City. So activists say they targeted this site as a way of pressuring the company to cut ties with the public safety project. Remember, just last week, several pieces of construction equipment were set on fire at a site in Southeast Atlanta. The fire chief and the police chief held a news conference Friday. They called it an arson attack. They said 4 pieces of construction equipment had been damaged by this. And here's some video from that news conference. These 4 pieces of equipment had been damaged by the fires. Early indications are they're connected to opponents of the site. So late Friday, there was an anonymous group. They claim responsibility for the early morning fires. And then in a press release last week, city officials said there had been in total 23 arson incidents. 81 pieces of equipment had been damaged. 23 states had been involved in all this since the start of the project. But a reminder: $200,000 reward being offered for information leading to an arrest and conviction. Okay, so Jamara, with this latest thing, I want to ask you: these individuals who are chaining themselves to construction equipment, known to be an otherwise peaceful protest, to our knowledge, is there any legal liability there? Can they be found liable for any crime or, a civil liability?
They'll most likely be charged with criminal trespass if they haven't already been charged with criminal trespass. But this brings into question whether or not their First Amendment rights to protest or petition the government are being infringed upon. And I think that they do have a legal argument to say that this is just a peaceful protest. They are protesting by saying that we are protesting against a specific construction company due to how, involved they are with Cop City. So I read a quote from one of the officers that says, this is a publicity stunt, and, that's true in a way. All protests are basically for publicity. A protest with a permit is nothing but a parade. So yes, these people are trying to get publicity for their cause, which is the construction of the Cop City buildings and campus. But again, the question of whether or not the charges will stick is up for debate.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we already know that there, are 61 people who are facing RICO charges related to the so-called Cop City protest. That's their language. They call it Cop City. And then now we've got this $200,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest of the arsonist. Obviously, people arrested for arson, they're faced with arson charges.
Right.
But any other criminal liability that should be on the radar with all of the kind of protests that we've been seeing?
Oh, that's a very, I would say, is a pointed issue. Are we going to stand idly by and allow our First Amendment freedoms to be eroded just because we're in fear of a RICO charge or some type of other charge that could be put against you? This contrasts with a lot of other protests that we have seen in the immediate past, in which individuals were hurt, maimed, or some even died, in which there was a violent protest. But in a situation where a person just basically uses their voice and not necessarily guerrilla tactics, for lack of a better term, to cause damage, then yes, I don't see how that can stand up against the First Amendment challenge. However, if there is violence being used, then again, there will probably be some charges and some criminal liability imposed upon those individuals.
Yeah. Okay, I want to ask you now about another top story that we have been following, and I actually want to show everybody this live look. This is inside a Fulton County courtroom. The YSL RICO trial is back underway again. It has resumed. Remember that yeah, there was another break in the trial, yet another delay. It essentially was postponed because of so-called unforeseen circumstances last week. But here we are again, and then we see Mr. Steele, that is the attorney for Jeffrey Williams. We can see him right there, speaking in court. He's talking to Judge Ural Glanville. And we have seen today, once again, Trontavious Stevens, one of the former co-defendants, testifying once again, being, it sounded like, last I heard, the prosecution was asking questions, so that would be on redirect.
Correct.
And, you know, essentially, I remember hearing the prosecutor asking, you know, can you say that any of these individuals are not guilty of any particular crimes? So, big picture, what exactly are each side trying to do with all this?
So, I believe in you wholeheartedly that she asked that question.
Yeah.
But I would say I hope that an objection was given on that one, because I mean
I didn't hear an objection, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's crazy. Okay. Maybe that's
But-
why I'm not on the trial. So, yeah, I think that's one of those questions that is just saying, okay, we're getting to basically the end of the case. Are these people guilty? How can that person know? I mean, that's neat. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, what redirect does is it allows the prosecution to come back and try and clarify some of the questions that the defendants may have asked of that witness by saying, okay, well, this wasn't clear enough. Let's try and clean this up for the jury so they don't have a chance to misconstrue what you may have said. And I love to see redirect, because sometimes it can go on back and forth for a couple of times, but a lot of times it shows just where the prosecution is thinking that their case is weak. An example would be if you ask this person, you know, do you guys consider yourself a gang? And he, as he answered, yes, if the state considers 3 or more people engaging in something, then yes, we would be a gang. Then you go back and redirect and say, well, weren't you charged? Didn't you plead guilty to being a member of a street gang? And this person would have to testify to yes. So those are the types of things that you want to clarify and redirect. Again, it's interesting to see, and I'm looking forward to everybody doing their redirect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, we're just keeping a close eye on that case. Want to let everyone know, let me just pop up this live look one more time inside the courtroom. If our viewers are interested in watching, you can continue watching the live trial with the sound, gavel to gavel, on our secondary stream, which is our special events stream. We're broadcasting that gavel to gavel. Okay, I want to ask you about another major story that we are following as well, which is that $83 million ruling against the former President Donald Trump in the case involving E. Jean Carroll. So, you know, Ms. Carroll said, you know, basically what it is the jury saying enough. They're saying enough. And just to recap for our viewers, Ms. Carroll had sued Mr. Trump, saying he sexually assaulted her. And she says that the jury has sent a message with their verdict. So he actually Trump has vowed to appeal this decision by a federal jury in New York, which awarded Miss Carroll $65 million in punitive damages, $18.3 million in compensatory damage for defamatory statements made after Miss Carroll accused Trump of sexually assaulting her back in 2019. Is when the accusation came to light, and she says that the assault happened, you know, decades earlier in a dressing room department store, and Trump denied the allegations, calling her a quote whack job, saying he had never even met Carroll, who had sued him, and on and on and on. So I want to ask you, first of all, are you surprised by this ruling?
No.
You're not surprised at all.
Not at all.
Pretty much what you expected. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I'll wait until you ask your next question to go to kind of give
So,
insight.
so my question is, I mean, that's a lot of money, $83 million. And again, only 18.3 million is compensatory, 65 million is punitive damages, 65 million, meaning to teach him a lesson. You got to
Correct.
pay an extra $65 million.
Right.
So now my question is, are they even going to see that money?
So, okay, starting from the top. Will they see that money? Perhaps. Eventually they may see that money. But here's the thing about judgments. They're only as good as the paper that they're printed on. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have a free range to go get his money or tack onto his assets at that time. What that means is that, yes, you owe me this money, but there may be some backroom negotiations to try and negotiate that amount down so that they don't have to go through the process of appeals. They don't have to go through the process of post-judgment interrogatories or any of that. So, again, there is a possibility that she will see it because by his account, he is worth at least $400 million in cash he has on him. So it's not like he doesn't have the 83 million according to him, but this whole process is going to take a while to play out. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts?
I don't know how he's going to make an appeal when his lawyer didn't really raise too many objections.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how they try and get an appeal in, but hey, we've seen stranger things before.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much. And Jamara Edwards Shipp, we always appreciate your expertise and analysis. Can you tell us, our viewers, if they're interested in hiring you, what kind of cases you take and how to contact you?
Hey there, I'm J. Edward Shipp. I do civil litigation. You can reach me at JShippLaw on Instagram, JShipp on Facebook, and jshipplaw.com on the internet.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jamara Edwards Shipp, joining us here on Atlanta News First and Atlanta News First Plus. All right. I'm going to pipe us back over just for this last final look inside of a Fulton County courtroom where the YSL trial has resumed once again. If you want to continue watching this, just go over to our secondary stream, our special events stream, and we will bring you gavel to gavel coverage for everything else. Keep it here on Atlanta News First Plus. And of course, you can always download our free Atlanta News First app to get updates sent right to your phone.